Hi, welcome to Live at Noon with Dee Dee Jones. Today we have a great guest. I'm so happy to have Doug Versaw of National Property Inspections here in Golden, Denver, Colorado. And he is here to talk about property inspections. How are you doing today, Doug?
I'm doing great. Dee Dee, how are you?
Oh, good. I'm so glad you could join us. You and I have known each other for, gosh, a dozen years now, I think, or darned close.
Yeah.
And I've always found what you do intriguing because you know so many things about so many things. How did you end up becoming a property inspector?
Well, so I was in the computer industry for years, and it was fun in the beginning, and because of various things, it ended up not being as fun towards the end. So um, one of those things was just the inherent nature of the business. You got laid off a lot.
Oh, sure.
Companies
So now you're
downsizing.
self-employed.
Yep. So I decided I want to get out on my own. So if I get laid off, I know it's coming.
Exactly. Yeah. Were you doing property inspections through '08 when the real estate market sort of slowed down?
No, I was not. I started
Okay.
later than that. Yeah.
Okay. So yes. And so now you've been doing it through COVID, which had to be interesting as well. But before we get into the weirdness of today, can you sort of outline what a property inspection is and when people might want one?
Sure. So property inspection is, in a nutshell, determining condition and issues associated with the property. So
Okay.
people want to know things like how old is the roof, how old is the HVAC equipment, things like that. So that's part of it. Then we also look for things that are safety issues or issues that may impact the structure or the longevity of the structure, and we
Okay.
report those out to the client.
And all the different systems too. So
Correct. Yes.
heating, cooling, plumbing, electrical, things I'm not even thinking of.
Right. From the tip of the roof to the most visible portion of the foundation, which is usually crawl space or basement.
Okay. So what's your favorite part of an inspection? When you're doing an inspection, what part is the most interesting to you?
Well, I think my favorite part of this versus something else is I get to meet new people all the time, and I get to see new things. It's not like I go to the same office every day. So
That's
my view
true.
changes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
All
so
right. All
it's
of you
really
out there who have ADD really bad,
yeah,
consider this career.
right. It definitely is helpful there. I don't enjoy being stuck on a desk, so it's perfect for me.
That's nice. So property inspection, I got to imagine that most of the time people learn about property inspection when they're out buying a house for the first time.
Correct.
That's probably the first time they hear of it. What do you think people learn at first that may or may not be true about property inspections?
Well, historically, they kind of got a bad name
Yeah.
because you have a deal put together that is getting closer to closing, and then the property inspection happens, and it's based sometimes just on people's fear factor or experience. You could say this has an issue to client A and they don't even worry about it, whereas you could say that same problem to another client and that's the deal killer. So
Right.
you kind of got the reputation of being the people that come in and kill everything, so they got to start over.
That would be rough. Has that changed over time?
I think a little bit in the market that we're currently in. The inspections aren't holding as much weight as far as determining whether they move forward with the purchase or not. In slower times, the inspection could be just exactly that. Something came up that the client is not comfortable with, and so they move on to the next one.
Sure.
But a lot of that has to do with the current market more than anything.
I hadn't even thought of that. Yeah. So buyer's market, you guys can influence the deals much more than maybe a seller's market like what we have right now, where people go, well, yeah, it needs a new boiler. Oh, well.
Oh, well, yeah, exactly.
Which on a boiler, I would have trouble saying, oh, well, too. But, yeah. Everybody comes in at a different place. So
right.
Over the years, I've seen great photos that you guys have taken of crazy things you've discovered. What can you share with us a couple of things as you've done an inspection that you've run across and just scratched your head at how on earth did someone live with this situation?
Oh, sure. One that just always blows my mind when we come across it is an electrical panel that is in the shower enclosure. Um,
Oh my gosh,
yeah, yeah,
that doesn't even need a photo.
right, right. I've seen them in bathtub enclosures, that have a shower.
Oh,
I've seen them in showers. Uh, I've also seen electrical panels in places that you would never guess that they are. You just happen to come across it, like in a cabinet with a bunch of Cheerio boxes in front of it or something. So,
wow. Okay, so the do-it-yourselfer electricians or the not so good electricians are very creative.
yeah, or the homeowner that's remodeling the basement and I want my bathroom here, regardless of what electrical panel is there, I'm going to make it work.
That okay, I was trying to imagine how you would make that a choice. So it's back into it a bit.
Right, right.
Moving electrical panels, I can only imagine, is expensive and challenging.
Absolutely not for the novice, that's for sure.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. So what kind of stuff do you find that a homeowner wouldn't likely find? Why have an inspector? I can walk through and kind of figure out what's going on, right? Now, by the way, I can't, but for
Well,
those
a lot of
folks who
a lot of things that we come across that even the experienced home buyer may or may not know about already are things that are safety related that may have become a part of the home industry in the last, say, 5 years. Somebody bought a house 10 years ago. They don't know that things like the eyes on the garage door opener, those safety eyes at the bottom of the doors, that they should be within 6 inches of the floor. And that's something that has evolved like many
okay,
things. Um,
yeah,
Ground fault protected circuits on older homes. We didn't even know what ground fault protection was. So if you've lived in an older home for many years and now you're moving into a newer home or even an older one, those become something that show up on the inspection report if they're not there.
okay. So in some ways, you can help an older home maybe not come all the way up to standards, but help people know where the improvements can be made.
Right, right. And usually
That's
those
nice.
improvements are focused on safety more than
Sure.
anything.
Well, I wouldn't. Yeah, that's usually where the code comes in. We don't
Right,
codify aesthetics. Oh, you've got wallpaper. Too bad, so sad, right? Or maybe
right.
it's back in style again. I don't know.
And I think that's one of the for your earlier question, the misunderstandings about inspections is we don't do code inspections, but by the default of codes are usually derived from health and safety concerns. Um,
Okay.
we kind of do code inspections, but they're not officially code inspections. The reasoning for
Okay.
that is a house on the south side of the street may have different codes than the one on the north side, just
Oh,
because of
that
the
would be
jurisdiction boundaries.
tough to figure out, wouldn't it?
Right. So we just
Yeah,
focus on safety and
health and safety.
structure.
Okay, good to know. Good to know. So, how would you, if you could wave your magic wand, how would you have people choose a property inspector? What should they look for? What should they ask? And then, what should their expectations be?
Well, first of all, I wouldn't want to say just always choose somebody who has tons of experience because there's quite a few very intelligent and capable inspectors that are just now getting on the market. But I think the biggest thing to look for is certifications. Colorado doesn't have a requirement for inspectors to be licensed, but there is an ability to become certified. And
Ah,
if an inspector chooses not to be certified, and that's really the minimum requirements, I think that would be what I would start with. Are you certified, and who are you
okay,
certified with? Your experience is important, but it's probably not, like I said, the groundbreaker. Um, but if you're looking for somebody who has a lot of experience, look for someone with multiple years of experience, maybe a certification such as certified master inspector or something of those nature. That is usually the more experienced inspectors that have certifications like that.
okay, good. And what does the process look like? So I'm about to buy a home and we're going to hire you. What does that look like to me as a consumer?
So as a consumer, you would want to reach out to whichever inspector. If it was us, we'd call our office and give the details about the property and make sure that we can get that on the calendar in the time frame that is required for the inspection, or I'm sorry, the inspection resolution deadline.
Okay.
And then we just get it scheduled and we work with the real estate agents and their counterparts on both sides of the deal to schedule everything and get that inspection taking place.
Okay.
Once
So
the
then,
date is around.
Yeah,
we just go
inspection
out and
day, you or somebody from your staff goes out there, does the whole walkthrough, crawling in the crawl space, poking around in the attic,
yep,
walking the lot, flipping every switch, I'm guessing.
absolutely. No, we check hundreds of items of the house, sometimes thousands, depending on the size of the house. But yeah, so they would either show up sometime after the inspection starts, and if they're in town, we're seeing a lot of out-of-state buyers that aren't in for the inspection. And in that case, we just go over the findings with that person via phone or sometimes FaceTime or something similar. And that way they get a firsthand discussion with us as to what we found.
Okay, that's cool. And do you pay for the inspection at that point, or is that part of closing?
No, it's usually paid for. The requirement on our side, anyway, is that the report isn't released until it's paid for.
Got it. Okay.
Are some situations, very, very few of them, that would even be considered to be paid at closing, just because it's not something that's associated with closing, so to speak.
Okay, just so people can plan their cash flow. Buying a house is complicated and there's moving parts everywhere. So this is a part that stands alone to some degree.
Yeah, and some buyers, if they've never gone through the experience, think that it's part of the, fees that they've already paid for, like the appraisal fee. We get that confused with inspection all the time. So I already paid for that. Well, no, that was
not quite.
Yeah.
Right. No, and there's so many other fees that go on too. So it's one more in a long list, but an important one. I would never suggest anybody buy a house without an inspection.
I wouldn't either.
Yeah. So once the inspection's done, what happens? Do you just say, verbally say, here's a list of 10 things wrong? Do you write it down? What does the deliverable look like?
So we deliver a written report complete with multiple photos in it. The photos are there to either explain, if we say bedroom 3, there's a picture of the bedroom so they know which one it is. Okay. But if there's issues, the photos might have notations in them, an arrow or a circle or something like that, so it focuses you on where the issue is in that picture. And then we produce that report such that the agent and the client can download them. Mm-hmm. And they receive an email saying it's ready. And usually that's within the same day. I mean, I can't even remember a time when we went past the same day on delivering a report. So
that's nice. You must have some good technology to be able to assemble that together and get it posted.
Yeah, and that technology improves all the time. So maybe even be sooner than that. Some inspections we leave with the report already delivered.
Yeah, so I have an inspection report on the house that I live in from 1990, and it was a big old 3-ring binder and not very useful. So things have come a long way. Yay. Thank you.
Yeah. We're not burning down trees now. We send a PDF.
No. Taking down pixels one at a time. That's right. Okay. Very cool. So the obvious use for a home inspection is when you're buying. Are there other times that a home inspection might make sense?
Sure. One that's very common is prior to selling. So to take some of the surprise out of the deal, they do a pre-listing inspection. So this is before it goes on the market. Come in and inspect the property. That allows the current seller or the potential seller to understand what items they may have show up on the inspection when they actually get a contract on the home. The nice thing about that is proactively they can choose to go out and repair those items. So let's say the furnace is in really bad shape and needs to be either repaired or replaced. That could be a deal killer, like we talked about earlier, depending on the person. So they can proactively either replace that furnace or have it serviced and certified potentially. And in doing that, they've proactively got the detail that says, all right, we had it serviced. Here's what the HVAC person says about it. And it puts that issue more to rest than it would be if it was just a brand new issue, because then it's everybody trying to negotiate who's going to take care of it.
Now, if I understand real estate law, and I'm not an attorney, if you do that pre-sale inspection and you discover issues, you then have to disclose them. Is that right?
You're supposed to, yes. That's that's kind of a requirement on all the deals. Whether people follow that or not is sometimes questionable.
Yeah. Enforcement is someone else's thing, but yes.
Yeah. So legally, you should tell everything you know about the home.
Correct. Okay. Well, that's kind of cool. So buying a property, selling a property, any other situations where you might see an inspection as a useful tool?
We do inspections as new construction. So from the foundation pour up to the final closing, we inspect what we call phases. So foundation, rough framing, pre-drywall, and then final. And in doing that, we can catch things as the house is being built that need to be corrected before it's hidden and nobody can see that there's an issue there.
Yeah, I remember one of your slides showing a support beam that was not attached to the cross member. It was just
Yep.
hanging there, things like that, that once they put drywall up, you'd never know.
You
And the
never know
roof
if
is going to fall on someone's
cracks.
head.
Yep,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah, so that's a real popular one. The other one is maintenance inspections, just people that own homes that want to know what the condition is and kind of get their to-do list put together.
Are those priced similarly to your other inspections?
Yes, so our inspections are typically priced on a few variables. The most popular variables are the size of the house, the age of the house, and the type of foundation. So whether it's a space, a slab on grade, or a basement.
Okay, so why does the foundation make a difference in pricing?
Well, if you can imagine, if it's slab on grade, you have nothing to look at underneath the floor you're standing on. So
Makes sense.
if it's a crawl space under that floor, then you're getting in there and you're crawling around. If it's 2,000 square feet, you're on your knees for 2,000 square feet looking at the underside of the floor, and things might be a furnace in there, might be, many components could be in the crawl space.
Sure.
That obviously adds time to the whole inspection process, which that's why we factor it in.
Makes sense. And so a basement then would be somewhere in the middle, stuff going on, but you're not having to crawl around with
Absolutely.
who knows what's in the crawl space. Well, that's a topic for another day, I can only imagine.
Yeah.
So cool. So what do you see in the future for inspections? What do you think how might it change?
Well, I don't see them being automated by any way, although there might be, because of all the smart appliances coming on the market, where you'd have a report, say, from your furnace saying, I have an error on my circuit board and it needs to be addressed. So things like that could be proactively taken care of. That may not be as much a part of the inspection as it would have been before, but I see that the report from those, like refrigerator and the age of these things, is going to be well known when you can just get a report off the internet for that house.
Wow, that's a cool idea.
Yeah, the visual part of it, I don't see that changing.
Yeah, no, you don't, like mini drones, send them through the house.
Right.
Just kidding. Don't see that happening.
No, I hope not.
So what's your favorite part of doing property, or of being a property inspector? Being your own boss? Well, I already asked you that. You like meeting the new people, but I feel like it's a creative outlet for you too, in some way.
Oh yeah, for sure. It's one of the jobs where you learn every day. And if you ever hear a property inspector say they know everything, they're lying. Because we're learning every day. Things are changing, and you come across new things that people have done with their home that you would have never thought somebody would try.
Good and bad, I imagine.
Oh yeah.
So we've talked a little bit about, how to vet an inspector. What sets you and National Property Inspections apart from all the other inspectors? Because there's quite a few out there.
Sure. Well, I have a real passion for doing my job, whether it's property inspections or something else, as if I'm doing it for my mother or my father. And so if I keep that in mind as I'm doing the property inspection, it doesn't matter who's buying it. I'm going to continue to give that upper level service that I would give to my own family. And that's what I try to instill in all my employees. And from what I can tell so far, they've adopted that very well.
Well, I've met several of them. I get that culture is pervasive with you guys. It's definitely obvious in my opinion. So well done, you.
Well, good, because we strive for that. But yeah, that's the biggest thing that I think sets us apart. There's other little things, but I think for the most part, it's how you view how you're going to do your job.
Right. High quality, treating people like they're your mom or somebody's mom, or dad, because they are probably.
Yeah, usually.
Or they had a mom and dad at some point. We can count on that one. Okay. What else do you wish people knew about property inspection that they don't typically know?
Well, I think there's And this just kind of has to go to the ability to provide a very high quality product. And that is in the view that the property inspector is there to kind of walk them through the house and train them. Yes, we are. But if you're using the inspection time for that, it's kind of like having someone sit on your desk and ask you questions while you're trying to work on your job. It can be very distracting. So we ask that the clients show up like an hour to an hour and a half after the inspection starts. That gives us a chance to really focus on our job, do a very high quality job, and then we can go over everything that we found with them at the end and walk through the house and do our educational moment if needed.
Yeah. So it sounds like education is a huge component of what you do.
Absolutely.
Who'd have thunk? That's exciting, especially for younger, newer homeowners who aren't experienced with all the systems that go into a house, because
Yeah.
they're more complicated than people realize.
And we totally embrace new home buyers, first time home buyers. I think it's such a monumental step in someone's life to be a first time home buyer that we want it to be a good experience for them. And we also want them to have a good experience with their home after they move in. So by educating them on things to do to be proactively taking care of the property is huge.
So once you've done this inspection and everything looks good, you move forward, and in time, an issue arises. What's the experience for the home buyer with regard to the inspection that they purchased? What are there warranties and follow-up service? What's available to somebody?
So all of our residential inspections do come with warranties, and those are shorter term warranties that pretty much cover a small window of time, 90 days, for example, from the day of the inspection, because there's still
Okay.
people living in the home, so things can happen. And so let's say that we inspect a house and the kitchen drain is just fine, no issues. And because there's usually a lot of stuff under the sink, people are moving that out. They may bump the drain, for example. And now the new homeowners move in and they've got a leak under their kitchen sink. So instead of them having to shell out all the money for a plumber to come in, the warranty helps cover that repair.
Okay.
So we provide those with, like I said, all the residential inspections. And then they have the ability to purchase, whether it's from the company we buy our warranties from or multiple other home warranty companies. They have the ability to purchase a home warranty that, just like a warranty on a car or whatever, it covers a period of time, usually a year, and that has coverage for them if something happens in that next year. That's really
Okay.
good for first-time home buyers or people who have, outlaid most of their savings, if not all of it, to actually make that purchase.
Right. Yeah, I can see that being very valuable, very, very valuable. So I think that's everything I wanted to ask you. Anything else you'd like to add?
Um, can't think of a whole lot of.
Okay. Well, I love that what you do, we can get the information out there, help people know about it, how to pick a great inspector, what to expect over time. This is now your chance to toss a question my way if you'd like. You have any burning financial questions you want to try and stump me with?
Well, yes, I have had this on my mind for quite some time, and it's more because, we're not getting younger. As business owners in general, mature and get towards the point where maybe they want to step away from the business. Do you have any recommendations as to how that planning should take place as people are moving towards the retirement age when they're a business?
Absolutely. When we work with pre-retirees who own small businesses, it's great to start several years out before you want to get out and create a plan, because it's going to involve identifying a successor, a buyer, making sure that they can actually afford to do it, creating a system, creating a contract with that person or persons so that you can say, here's how it's going to happen step by step, with exit plans if it doesn't quite work out for everybody, as well as the tax planning around the cash flow consequences of that. So a few years out before selling your business is a great time to say, all right, here's what it is. Here's what it looks like. Here's different ways people in our industry sell a business. What kind of looks like it will fit for us? So we deal with that all the time because depending on the structure, depending on the industry, there's all sorts of interesting strategies we can take. Is it a lump sum cash? Is it buyout over time? Is it a percentage of revenues in the future? Lots of workable variables that we can adjust and tweak to fit your particular situation. So yeah, if you're thinking you're within 5 years of retirement, it's a great time to start having those conversations. So
yeah, great.
You're never going to retire, Doug. What are you talking about?
Probably won't.
Exactly. But maybe someone could buy you out and then let you be the part-time backup. And
there you go. That would be
go
fun.
Play some more.
That would be fun.
Well, Doug, thank you so much for joining me today. Love hearing about property inspections. I hope everybody who's been able to join us today has had their questions answered. If you didn't, please put them in the comments. We will follow up on any questions you pose. Again, it's Doug Versaw with National Property Inspections. He's a great guy, your go-to guy if you're here in the Front Range. He's done inspections on all sorts of amazing properties, including folks near and dear to me that they've loved him. With that, we will call it a wrap. Doug, have a great weekend. Everyone else, see you next Friday, live at noon.
Thank you, Dee Dee.
Bye-bye.
Bye.